Hmm. Check 1 2. 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 Okay, why don't I have sound? Hopefully they do.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This past week I decided to take on a challenge that was both exciting and a little intimidating. I spent a whole week living fully reliant on my faith, with God as my only rock. No shortcuts, no distractions, and definitely no fallback plans. I'm going to share what I discovered about the power of surrender and why Psalm 62 has been such a guiding light in this journey. In today's world, we're surrounded by messages that push us to rely on our own abilities, our finances, or the latest self-help trend. But the central truth of Psalm 62 is this: true security and salvation come only from God. And let me tell you, that truth is more relevant now than ever before. According to scholar Derek Kinder, the original Hebrew text of Psalm 62 emphasizes this point by repeating the word only in Hebrew over and over. That repetition drives home the exclusivity of our trust in God. It's like the psalmist is screaming, "Listen up! God alone is enough. Nothing else will truly satisfy." And it's true. How often do we try to numb our anxieties, our insecurities with things that give us a quick sense of control, money, possessions, or even our social media feeds, only to end up feeling more exhausted? We might feel better for a moment, but deep down, we're still standing on shaky ground. In a world that's constantly shifting, it's easy to feel unsettled, like the ground beneath our feet could give away at any moment. We hustle, we strive, we try to make sure we have our own ducks all in a row. Yet life still throws curveballs. We get laid off from a job we thought was secure, or our health suddenly takes a hit, or a close relationship falls apart. It's in these moments that we realize just how fragile our own efforts can be. But Psalm 62 introduces this beautiful picture of God as a rock in Hebrew. In ancient cultures, rocky high places were seen as the safest spots in battle. They offered a vantage point, protection, and a sense of security. If you think about it, rock formations withstand centuries of storms, winds, erosion, yet they remain steadfast. That's who God is: unchanging, unwavering, and completely reliable. I'd like to share a bit of my own story to illustrate how this truth has played out in my own life. A few years ago, I faced a major health crisis that completely blindsided me. One day I felt fine, the next I was sitting in a doctor's office, feeling a swirl of emotions, fear, confusion, and even anger. I had always prided myself on being self-sufficient, the person who had it all together. Suddenly, that illusion was stripped away. In that darkest hour, I turned to God. I remember literally opening up my Bible to Psalm 52, reading the words, "Truly my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from Him." I cling to that like a lifeline. No, my circumstances didn't magically improve overnight, but something within me shifted. I began to experience a peace that was completely out of step with my situation. I realized that while I couldn't control what happened next, I could trust the one who could. Fast forward a bit, and I encountered another challenge. a tough career decision. It felt like every door was closing, and I started questioning my worth, my purpose, everything. Well, at least not panicking too much. I turned back to prayer. I poured out my heart, my worries, and my confusion to God. Over time, I sensed a clarity and direction that I hadn't felt before. It wasn't an easy path, but I knew that God was leading the way, and that gave me the courage to step into the unknown. You might be wondering, okay, so what does a week fully relying on God look like practically? For me, it was meant setting aside my phone for extended periods, cutting down on my social media, and resisting the urge to fill every spare moment with noise and distraction. Instead, I used that space to pray, to journal, and to read scripture. There were times I felt restless, almost like I was going through withdrawal. Because let's face it, we can get addicted to our distractions. But as the week wore on, I found myself more aware of God's presence and less weighed down. I also found myself leaning more on God for daily needs, like seeking wisdom before making decisions about finances or relationships. That might sound super spiritual or even impractical, but I learned that when I invite God into the details, it was humbling to realize that I don't have to carry every burden. Looking back on this challenge, I see how crucial it was to rediscover that God is my only rock. In Psalm 62, David contrasts the solid nature of God with the flimsy protection offered by worldly things. He calls them leaning walls or tottering fences. Our human efforts may stand for a while, but eventually they can crumble. Meanwhile, God's strength is both mighty and loving. It's not arbitrary power, it's power woven together with compassion. I want to leave you with a key reflection. In what areas of your life do you find most challenging to trust God fully? Maybe it's finances, career decisions, relationships, or even your health. Take a moment this week to bring those fears and uncertainties to God. Remember, trusting God isn't passive, it's active. Moment by moment choice to believe that He is who He says He is, faithful, steadfast, and unchanging. And that's the heart of Psalm 62. My soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from Him. This rest isn't about escapism or pretending life's hardships don't exist. Instead, it's a confident assurance that no matter what storms blow your way, our foundation will hold firm. Thank you for journeying with me through this week of total reliance on God. If any part of my story resonated with you, or if you have your own testimony about God being your rock, please share in the comments below. Let's encourage each other to put our trust in the one who never fails. And hit that like button if you found this video helpful or uplifting. Stay anchored in hope, everybody. Until next time, God bless you and keep praising His holy name.